Hello, my friends, and welcome to another week of art with Miss Turner. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, let me present. There we go, much better. Okay, this is for the 3rd through 5th grade, and this is for week of February 11th through the 18th. Now, our I can statements, I can create a work of art based on the work of African American artist Alma Thomas. Now, some of you may have completed a drawing, but this week we're also going to be for face-to-face learners, learning a little bit about adding like a marker and then a wet brush to kind of add to that drawing. If for some reason you don't have any of those materials, you can also, for a bonus, create an African necklace inspired by African art using color, shape, and pattern. Now, what will we do today? Well, I'm going to review how we use line, color, and shape, show examples of the art from Alma Thomas again, and demonstration of how to complete that drawing in the style of the artist using line, color, and shape, and using marker for a watercolor effect. Okay, so that's a little embellishing. It's like a second step in our drawing process. Next demonstration of how to create an African necklace using color, shape, and pattern. And we're going to create our art and turn it in. Okay, quick review, and we've already talked about elements of art, and those are ingredients that make up art, and shape is the outline of an object and is an element of art. We've got geometric shapes like triangle, rectangle, square, circle, and so on, and we also have organic shapes, which are more natural shapes like you would find in nature, like fruit or cloud or leaf. Color, we have seen a lot of color in the work that we've been looking at, especially with Alma Thomas. Um, let's see, pattern. We've also seen a lot of pattern in her work. What is pattern? Repeating shapes, colors, lines, or symbols. And that is one of the principles of design. And principle of design works together with the elements of art. And remember those images that I showed you of Alma Thomas? And also as a review, her artwork has been displayed in the White House during the time that President Obama was in office. And I'm showing you this again too because she must have been influenced by what we're going to create today as well with the African necklace. Okay. I'm going to show you an example in a little bit. Okay. These are pictures of women who are dressed in beautiful dresses as well as the necklaces that we are going to be creating today. You'll notice that some necklaces are woven and some use beads. And the more embellished they are, the more colorful they are. And they really use a lot of materials that they have in their village. And we are talking about that because it is Black History Month. And art is influenced by cultures from people all around the world. And this being women who live in Africa, this would be how they dress, okay? But the way they dress also influences artwork like the artwork of Alma Thomas. So let's take a look. First, I'm going to show you like a few little techniques if you want to try it out using washable markers and a wet brush. You could also use like a Q-tip, or you could wet your finger using a paper towel or something. And we're not smearing when we're doing this, but I will demonstrate that as well. Okay, hold on, let me get this out of the way. My goodness, I'm trying to get it to pause, guys. Okay, exit. All right, let me get this up. Okay, here is the drawing that we were talking about last week. And you remember I told you that Alma liked nature as well. And I did like a little sunset scene. I'm actually going to show you 3 images that I did. And remember, I said I left some spaces in between that I'm going to add marker. I have not added marker to this yet. This was all in crayon, or you could use colored pencil. This one is a little bit more finished because I did use some marker in between, but I'm going back in and you can see where I used some wet brush here. It gives like a watercolor effect. And then I also did one more. There we go with the heart and the rainbows. And whoop, I wanted to show you on the right hand side, I started using the wet brush and you can see how the edges are a little bit softer, whereas over here, I have not used the wet brush yet. But I would like you to at least try some of the techniques. If you don't like it, the thing is when this dries, you can always go back in and sharpen some of your edges. Okay, so let's say, and I'm not going to go through all of this, but let's say in between these little white spaces that I left, I can go back in with a marker and I can start filling them in with some marker where I did not color in. And this is going to be a nice contrast if I continue, and I could use other colors. I could color in parts of it in yellow and do variations like I did in here. And then when you're using a wet brush, you don't want to get it too wet. And I don't know if you'll be able to see the blending that happens. But what happens is the washable markers tend to bleed a little bit. So the color will kind of spread out when you use a wet brush on it, and it'll make them a little bit more vivid. They'll stand out a little bit more, but you don't want to take your paintbrush and just smear it across because all the colors are going to kind of mix together and it's going to become muddy. And you can't really see too much, but you can see the technique that I'm using. And I can even go up here in the clouds and maybe you can see a little bit. It's just going to soften it and blend and give you a nice watercolor effect. Yeah, and you can see it a little bit with the light. And this dries fairly quickly too, guys. So if you did want to go back into it. Now look at the right-hand side versus the left-hand side. Notice how this is much sharper and this is a little bit softer. So you could try it out in sections and leave the other part untouched of the watercolor effect, okay? There, you can see a little bit better there. See how the color is starting to blend? It kind of softens the edges. Now you're starting to see it a little bit better on that side. And I'm not going to complete all of it because I want to give you guys a chance to start working on it. Now, for the necklace, you saw a picture of the ladies wearing the collar necklaces. This, you have probably done a version of it before, but it's very similar to the way we did the paintings here. You start with a paper plate. Keep in mind, if you don't have a paper plate, you do have drawing paper or you have some type of paper that you can trace the curves for the necklace and you can design what you would be wearing on the necklace, okay? So in other words, the patterns. And my pattern here, I repeated like some of these colors, but I also did some shapes in there as well. I took a marker on this one and I just kind of traced around my shapes to make them stand out a little bit more. I could use all marker on this, or I could just use marker to trace some of my shapes that I want to stand out. And this I use crayon. So just watch how I cut this out. Okay, I start with a simple paper plate, cut a slit, and I'm going to use the inside, but I'm going to cut out the center. And for younger kids, if you need help, please ask an adult or an older sibling maybe to help you cut this out. The center part is going to be used to, if you decide to do an extension like I had with the strings. And I'm just going to cut kind of like a moon shape, and that is going to be the piece that can hang from the bottom. And if you've got a hole punch, um, you can use that, or if you don't have that, you don't have to do this extension piece. You could just do the paper plate. But I'm going to put 2 holes on my plate as well as the little shape at the bottom. Then I go in, I use my marker, and I kind of darken the edges and I add my shapes if I decide I want to do triangles or if I just want to do lines. Again, I know that you at home have to use what you've got. Um, and you can also do a bit of collage on this, which means you can cut and glue some shapes out. And this is a simple one that I did. And you can see these little blocks are actually color that I did on a separate sheet of paper. And you can color that and then cut it out and glue it onto the surface. So instead of using the extension, you can glue things onto the necklace. It could be beads, could be buttons. But I colored some paper and then cut that out. Excuse me. So you see my colored paper that I have. Now I just cut out some pieces. I can glue those down. I could have that all around if I wanted to. Just be creative with this. Okay, so that's something I could glue down. Now I'm going to show you how I attach the string. If you have some, great. If you don't, like I said, you don't have to add this. This is just another level of the necklace. So I had some yarn in the house and I cut a length off. And I haven't punched any holes in this yet, so I go ahead and punch the holes on the other side. And let's say this little piece has already been colored, even though it hasn't. But I'm going to loop my yarn from the back so that the yarn comes out in the front. Now it's hanging down, so now I can attach it. It looks almost like a smile. And this is where I can check the length before I tie it into a knot. And that's how you attach. There. And that would just open up and you could wear it on your neck. I think I have one of mine right here. Okay. Okay, now let's go down. I kind of want to show you what this looks like. So there's the finished piece. And like I said, you don't have to add this part, but it opens up and then you can just place it around your neck like that. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen one more time. Okay, so fairly easy to do. And like I said, if you don't have a paper plate, if you don't have markers, you can always draw what you think a necklace would look like and then decorate it, okay? Because all it is you're tracing a circle and then you can put a smaller circle on the inside so that you have this border and then you are decorating it, okay? So you're going to complete your drawing based on the artist Alma Thomas using the line, shape, and color. And you can also add the marker and try those techniques out. And when you complete this drawing, create an African necklace using color, shape, and pattern. Online learners, you must take a picture and post to Google Classroom or ClassDojo or email it to me at eturner@ecps.us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email or call me at this number. Okay. So that's all we're doing today. And it's actually a lot. But I want you to make sure that you're sending me your art. Sometimes when you just show up face to face, or I mean virtually, you just show up for the class while I'm teaching face to face. Just because you're sitting there watching me is not doing the artwork. I mean, if you can't do the artwork while I'm teaching live, that's one thing, but you have like over a week to create it on your own time. And I always include these videos as well so you can go back and refer to them, okay? So I need to see your artwork to make sure you're participating so I can give you a grade. All right. So that's all my preaching for now. Okay, I can't wait to see your artwork. I hope you have a great week. Love you, miss you, and can't wait to see you soon. Bye for now.